The sun was just rising over the Yucatan jungle when Raoul wiped the sweat from his forehead. He had been working with his small team for weeks at the foot of the Great Pyramid of Chichen Itza. The stone steps above him glowed gold in the morning light, while the air around carried the smell of earth and plants. For many visitors, the pyramid was only a wonder of history, but for Raoul and his team, it was a place full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. The team had been digging near the eastern side, where old legends spoke of hidden tunnels. Raoul was a quiet man, not the kind to boast or argue, but he had sharp eyes and steady hands. His partner, Lena, often said that he had patience carved from stone itself. She was the one who studied the writings and carvings, always eager to explain the meaning of each line. Along with them were two other helpers, Mateo and Rosa, who worked hard moving rocks and carrying tools. That morning, the dig reached something unusual. Raoul's pick struck against stone that did not sound like the rough blocks of the pyramid. It gave a ringing sound, almost like striking against metal, though the surface looked like dark rock. He knelt and brushed away the dust, his fingers trembling. Slowly, a carved symbol appeared. Lena hurried over, holding her notebook. Her eyes widened at the sight. "This is not Mayan," she said softly. "The lines are too sharp. Look at the angles. They are too perfect." The marking was shaped like a circle with 3 lines crossing inside. The cuts were smooth and exact, unlike the hand-carved style of the Mayan people. Raoul felt a chill in his chest. He knew the Mayans had been skilled builders, but this looked like something beyond even their talent. Together, they cleared the soil around the strange surface. More symbols came into view, all different, yet forming a pattern. Rosa stepped back nervously, whispering that it did not feel right. Mateo agreed, saying that some doors should stay closed. Raoul, however, could not stop his hands. Curiosity pulled him forward stronger than fear. After hours of work, the outline of a doorway was visible. The symbols curved around it like a frame. What caught their attention most was the faint sound that came from the stone itself. At first it seemed like the hum of insects, but when the team paused, they realized it was a steady vibration. The rock was not silent. It was alive with a quiet energy. Raoul placed his palm against the surface. Instantly, a soft light ran through the carvings, glowing like fireflies. Everyone stepped back in shock. The hum grew louder, pulsing with rhythm, as if the pyramid itself had a heart that had just started beating. Raoul pulled away his hand, but the light did not stop. It moved along the lines until it reached the center of the doorway. Then, the stone shifted with a sound like grinding gears. Dust fell from above as the hidden passage slowly opened. A dark tunnel stretched beyond, filled with shadows and silence. No torch or lamp reached the end of it. Lena's voice broke the silence. "This should not be possible. These stones are older than time, yet they move as if built yesterday." She touched the glowing carvings carefully, almost afraid. "This is a language I have never seen before. It feels like it was made for someone to find, not just to hide." Mateo and Rosa argued about leaving at once. They believed it was dangerous to disturb the past, that some mysteries were left buried for good reason. But Raoul could not look away from the tunnel. Something inside him whispered that this was the reason he had chosen this work, the reason he had spent his life among ruins and dust. He lit a torch and held it high. The flame flickered against the smooth walls, which shone faintly with a metallic sheen. Unlike the rough stone outside, these walls looked as if shaped by hands that had mastered tools unknown to history. The team entered slowly, step by step. The air grew cooler, and the sound of the jungle above faded. Every footfall echoed as if they were walking inside the body of a giant. Strange lines ran across the walls, glowing dimly like veins of light. Lena scribbled in her notebook as fast as she could, her eyes wide with wonder. At the end of the passage, they reached a chamber. It was large and round, with a ceiling that curved high above like the inside of a dome. In the center stood a block of dark stone, smooth and perfect. The carvings across its surface formed spirals and circles that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Raoul walked closer, his torchlight playing across the block. He felt the hum in his bones now, stronger than before. It was as if the chamber itself was breathing around him. He could not explain it, but he knew this place had been waiting for someone to arrive. Lena whispered, her voice barely heard. "This is not a tomb. This is not a temple. It is something else. Something meant to be found when the time is right." Raoul placed his hand on the stone block, and once again, the carvings lit up, brighter this time. The chamber filled with soft light, bathing the walls in silver and gold. The hum turned into a steady tone, deep and powerful, echoing through the pyramid above. The team stood in silence, their fear mixing with awe. They had uncovered more than history. They had awakened something hidden for centuries, something that pulsed with power and mystery. Raoul knew their lives had just changed. Whatever secrets the Mayan pyramids held, this was only the beginning. The chamber was filled with a glow that came from the carvings on the central block. Raoul kept his hand on the stone, unable to move away. The lines of light spread across the surface in patterns that looked alive, as if the stone itself was speaking. The hum that filled the room now sounded like many voices joined together, though no words could yet be understood. Lena stepped closer, her notebook pressed against her chest. She studied the carvings with wide eyes. "These are not decorations," she whispered. "They are words. I can see a system here, a language. Look at the repeated shapes. They form a structure like writing." Matteo frowned and shook his head. "It does not matter what it is. We should leave before this becomes dangerous. These walls move, this stone sings, and you still want to read it like a story." But Raoul did not answer. His eyes were fixed on the glowing patterns. The light shifted, forming clear symbols that burned brighter than the rest. The shapes repeated themselves in lines, almost like sentences carved in fire. Slowly, Raoul pulled his hand away. The glow remained, as if the chamber had chosen to speak on its own. Lena walked around the block, sketching every line she could see. "This is unlike any Mayan symbol," she said with excitement. "But there is something familiar. The Mayans used spirals to show cycles of time, and they used stars to guide their calendars. Look here. These shapes show orbits, movements of planets." The others leaned closer. The glowing lines formed what looked like a map of the sky. Circles moved around larger circles. Lines curved between them, as if marking paths. At the center of the map was a bright point that glowed stronger than all others. "That is Earth," Lena said in a hushed voice. "The ancient builders marked our planet at the center. This entire map is built around it." Rosa gasped softly. How could they know such things? How could they see the planets and stars like this without our telescopes? Lena's voice trembled. Unless they were shown. Unless they were taught by someone else. The chamber grew silent. The idea was heavy, almost too large to believe. Yet the glowing map continued to shine, as if to prove that it was no trick. Raoul noticed more carvings along the wall of the chamber. He walked to them, holding his torch high. These markings were deeper and older, not glowing but carved with clear skill. They showed tall figures standing beside humans. The tall ones held strange tools, while the humans held baskets and stone blocks. Together they built pyramids and planted fields. They were teachers, Rahul said slowly. Whoever they were, they came to help. The Mayans remembered them and built this to keep the memory alive. Lena traced the carvings with her fingers. No. Look closer. These tall ones are giving something. See here. They are passing a flame to the people. This flame must mean knowledge or power. And here, they are pointing to the sky. They wanted the people to remember that they came from above. As they studied, more light flared on the central block. New symbols appeared, moving like flowing water. This time, the symbols changed into clear pictures. The team watched as scenes unfolded on the surface like living carvings. The first scene showed a great ship crossing the stars. Its shape was smooth and long, like no ship built on water. The ship reached Earth, where the tall figures stepped out to greet humans. The second scene showed the same tall figures fighting dark shapes that fell from the sky. The figures carried beams of light, while the dark shapes looked twisted and sharp, almost like shadows given form. The third scene showed the tall figures hiding something beneath a pyramid. They placed their hands on a stone, just as Rahul had done, and the chamber glowed just the same. Lena's breath caught. It is a warning. They left this message for the future. They tell us that enemies from the stars once came here. The pyramid is not only a monument. It is a lock to guard something important. Rosa stepped back, fear in her voice. You mean they buried a weapon here? Or something worse? Lena shook her head. Not a weapon perhaps. Maybe knowledge. Maybe a gift they wanted us to use only when the time was right. The team argued. Matteo insisted that the carvings spoke of danger and that they should close the passage before more harm came. Rosa agreed, saying that the jungle was safer than any secret buried under stone. But Rahul felt something different. The carvings did not frighten him. They filled him with a sense of purpose, as if he had stepped into a story that had waited centuries for him. He looked at the glowing map again. The center point of light, marked as Earth, now pulsed brighter. Around it, lines of movement drew nearer, as if other paths were approaching. Rahul could not shake the feeling that these lines showed not only the past but also the future. Lena closed her notebook and looked at him. Her voice was calm but firm. If this message is true, then we are not alone. Others came here once. And if the map is correct, others may be coming again. The hum of the chamber deepened, echoing in the stones around them. The glow grew brighter, casting long shadows on the team. For the first time, they all felt the weight of what they had found. They had uncovered not just history but a message written across time. A message left by visitors who had trusted humanity to be ready when the sky opened once more. Rahul tightened his grip on the torch. His heart beat fast, but not with fear. The carvings had chosen to reveal themselves. The chamber had awakened. And he believed this was only the beginning of what they were meant to discover. The glow in the chamber slowly faded until only the carvings on the central block remained lit. Rahul stood still, his torch raised, staring at the map that seemed alive with movement. The pulsing lines had shown paths across the stars, all pointing toward Earth. He felt as if unseen eyes were watching through the symbols, waiting for him to act. Lena walked around the chamber again, her notebook filled with hurried sketches. She touched the smooth wall with her fingers and frowned. This place is not finished stone, she said. It feels like metal, but it is warm, not cold. It reacts to us. Matteo crossed his arms. Then we should leave before it reacts too much. You saw the pictures. Those shadows in the sky were enemies. What if we are opening something that should never be opened? Raoul shook his head slowly. It is not about opening or closing. This place is calling us. If we walk away, someone else may find it, someone who will not treat it with care. As he spoke, the carvings shifted again. The glowing lines folded inward, and the block in the center began to sink into the floor. The hum grew louder, vibrating through their feet, until the entire chamber trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. Rosa cried out and grabbed Lena's arm. From the opening where the block had stood, something rose. It was not stone. It was smooth and shining like polished silver. A tall structure unfolded, made of curved panels that fit together like living skin. At its top was a sphere that glowed faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. The team stood frozen. The thing was a machine, but no one had ever seen its like. It had no gears, no wheels, no seams, yet it moved with perfect grace. Raoul stepped forward without thinking. The sphere at the top brightened when he came closer. The hum shifted into a deep steady tone that matched the rhythm of his heartbeat. Raoul, wait, Lena called, fear and wonder mixing in her voice. But Raoul kept walking until he was only a step away. He raised his hand slowly and placed it against the smooth surface. The instant his skin touched the machine, light flooded the chamber. The walls blazed with patterns of gold and silver. Symbols danced in the air, forming circles around him. Raoul gasped. His mind filled with images. He saw stars, endless and shining. He saw ships crossing dark space. He saw Earth from above, blue and green, small yet beautiful. Then he felt voices, not words but thoughts, pressing gently into his mind. They were calm, patient, ancient. Lena shouted his name, but Raoul did not hear. The machine had linked to him. Inside his thoughts, the voices showed him a story. Long ago, travelers from far away had come to Earth. They found humanity still young, still learning, but full of promise. These travelers gave guidance, not to rule but to help. They built tools and left knowledge hidden, to be found only when humans were ready. Among these gifts was the machine, buried under the pyramid. The images shifted. He saw darkness spreading across space, ships like shadows with jagged edges. The travelers fought against them but could not destroy them fully. They chose instead to guard Earth, hoping that one day humans would stand strong enough to protect themselves. The machine was the key, built not to fight directly but to awaken what already existed inside humanity. Raoul fell to his knees, overwhelmed. His chest rose and fell in sharp breaths. Yet he could not pull away. The voices whispered without sound, telling him that he was chosen because he had touched the stone with trust, not fear. The light faded slowly, and Raoul staggered back. Lena caught him before he could fall. His face was pale, his eyes wide, but he was alive. The machine dimmed, though the sphere still glowed faintly, watching like an eye that never closed. "What happened to you?" Lena asked, gripping his shoulders. Raoul shook his head. "It showed me everything. The travelers, the war, the reason they came here. This machine is not a weapon. It is a bridge. It connects us to them, to what they wanted us to become." Matteo stepped back with fear. "You touched it, and it answered. Why only you? What if it has taken hold of you?" Rosa added in a whisper, maybe it will not let us leave now. Rahul looked at the machine again. His fear was gone. In its place was a strange calm, as if a heavy weight had settled on his shoulders, but also a light that guided him. "It is not here to harm us," he said firmly. "It is waiting for us to decide. It responds to trust. That is why it answered me." Lena studied the glowing sphere. If this is true, then the travelers wanted someone from humanity to complete what they began. "Rahul, you may have been chosen, but this choice belongs to all of us. We have to decide whether we accept what it offers." The chamber fell quiet again. Only the soft hum of the machine filled the air. The four of them stood surrounded by glowing walls, knowing they had uncovered not just history but a living gift from another world. Rahul lifted his torch once more. He did not know what path lay ahead, but he felt sure of one thing. The pyramid had not been built to hold the past. It had been built to prepare for the future. And now, the future had already begun. The machine stood in the center of the chamber like a guardian, its soft glow steady and calm. Rahul had stepped back from it, but he still felt the weight of its presence inside his mind. The images it had shown him would not leave. Stars, battles, and voices of beings older than history circled in his thoughts like shadows of dreams. Lena kept studying the walls, her torchlight sliding over carvings that seemed to change each time she looked at them. "These are not just pictures," she said slowly. "They are records. They are teaching us." Matteo paced near the entrance, his arms crossed tightly. "Teaching or trapping? We cannot know. This place was not made by human hands. That means it was not made for us." Rahul turned his eyes to Matteo. His voice was calm, though his heart still raced. "No, Matteo. It was made for us. I saw it. They called themselves Skyfarers. They came here to guide humanity. They left this machine because they believed we would one day need it." The word hung in the air. Skyfarers. It sounded both strange and familiar, like a name spoken in old myths. Rosa moved closer to Lena. Her voice trembled. "If they were real, why did they leave? Why not stay and protect the people they helped?" Lena looked at the carvings again. She pointed at a panel that showed tall figures standing beside humans, then walking away while the people raised their hands as if in farewell. They left because they wanted humanity to grow. If they had stayed, people would have depended on them forever. Instead, they gave pieces of knowledge and trusted us to rise on our own. Rahul stepped closer to the machine. Its sphere glowed brighter as he approached, and a gentle hum filled the air once again. Suddenly, light spread from the sphere, covering the walls in shining images. The carvings disappeared beneath living pictures. The chamber filled with echoes of the past. Tall beings stood in a circle, their forms glowing like silver fire. They were not human, yet there was no cruelty in their shapes. Their long hands moved with grace, and their eyes shone with calm wisdom. They spoke without sound, but their meaning flowed into the minds of the team. Rahul felt the words more than heard them. "Children of Earth, we came long ago. We walked among you, not as rulers but as guides. We shared seeds of knowledge so you would grow strong. We built stones that reached the sky, so you would remember to look upward. We left machines of memory, so you would one day hear our voices again." Lena gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Rosa gripped her arm tightly, eyes wide with fear and wonder. Matteo stood rigid, unable to speak. The voices continued. "We are the Skyfarers. We were hunted by a darkness that devours. It follows the light of growing worlds. We fought it, but we could not end it. We placed part of our strength here, in your keeping. For you are the hope we saw when we first looked upon your world. You are the ones who may stand when others fall. The images shifted. The tall beings now battled the shadow ships. Bright beams of light clashed with claws of darkness. Worlds burned, stars dimmed. Yet through it all, the skyfarers held a line, shielding Earth. Then the images showed the building of the pyramid. Humans worked under the guidance of the tall beings, stacking stones higher and higher. At the base, the skyfarers hid the machine deep in the earth. The pyramid was both a monument and a lock. The voices faded until only a single message remained. When the darkness comes again, awaken what we left. Remember that you are not weak. Remember that you were meant to rise. The light vanished, leaving the chamber in silence once more. The team stood together, shaken by what they had seen. Rawls' eyes burned with determination. They trusted us. They gave this to us because they believed we would be ready when the time came. Lena's voice trembled but carried strength. It means we are not just children of Earth. We are heirs to something greater. The pyramids were not only for worship or calendars. They were built as guardians of a truth too large for their time. Rosa stepped back, her fear clear. If the darkness returns, what can we do? We are not warriors. We have no ships, no beams of light. We have nothing compared to what they had. Rahul placed a steady hand on her shoulder. We have something they saw in us. They believed in it enough to leave everything here. That means we are not as helpless as we think. Matteo finally spoke, his voice heavy with doubt. Or it means we are being asked to fight a war that is not ours. Perhaps they left because they could not win. Perhaps they gave us their burden, not their gift. Rahul looked at the machine again. The glow inside its sphere pulsed slowly, like a steady breath. He felt the voices still within him, gentle but firm. No. It is not a burden. It is a choice. They gave us the chance to rise or to fall on our own. That is not weakness. That is trust. The chamber grew quiet, each member of the team lost in thought. The jungle above was far away now, replaced by the weight of the stars pressing down on their shoulders. Rahul raised his torch, the flames flickering against the silver glow. The skyfarers believed in us. Now it is our turn to believe in ourselves. The world waited in silence as the shadows from the stars drew closer. Across the planet, people looked to the sky with fear and uncertainty. Military bases were on alert, scientists monitored every movement, and governments held emergency meetings. Yet, none of the human defenses seemed ready for what was coming. Beneath the Mayan pyramid, Rahul stood before the glowing machine. The sphere pulsed like a heartbeat, sending waves of energy through the chamber. He felt the connection again, stronger than ever. The skyfarers' voices spoke within his mind, calm but insistent. Humanity had been given the chance to rise. The moment had arrived. Lena placed her hand on Rawls' shoulder. The carvings spoke of a choice, she said softly. Not everyone may take it. The machine responds to one who accepts the responsibility. You are the first to be chosen. What will you do? Rahul closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He felt the weight of the entire world pressing down on him. The chamber seemed smaller and larger at the same time. Smaller because of the space of stone, larger because of the responsibility. He knew that stepping forward would change everything. I will do it, he said firmly. If the skyfarers trusted humanity enough to leave this gift, then I will accept it. I will guide it, and we will face whatever comes together. The machine responded instantly. Light exploded from the sphere, filling the chamber with brilliance that made the walls disappear. Symbols floated in the air like stars in motion. Rahul felt a connection spreading through him, linking his mind to the thoughts of countless humans before him. He felt the courage of builders, farmers, explorers, and thinkers. He felt their dreams and struggles. All of humanity's history and hope flowed through him. Lena, Rosa, and Matteo watched in awe. The glow wrapped around Rahul, but it did not harm him. Instead, it lifted him, as if he had become part of the machine. The carvings on the walls now told a story that only Rahul could fully understand. They were instructions, maps, and warnings all at once. The Skyfarer's guidance flowed into his mind. "You must awaken the hidden structures," the voices said. "They will not act alone. You will guide them. Through your will, humanity will rise." Rahul opened his eyes. "There are more than one," he said. "Other machines, other guardians. They are hidden across Earth. Mountains, deserts, oceans. They are part of what the Skyfarers left for us." Matteo shook his head. "How can we find them? How can one person guide the world?" Raul's voice was steady. "Not alone. Humanity will follow if we show them the way. This is not just about machines. It is about what we can become together. The Skyfarers trusted us because they knew we could rise. Now it is time for us to prove it." Lena studied the glowing patterns. The carvings show paths, like a network connecting the guardians. If you can reach them, we can awaken them. Then humanity will have a chance to face the shadows. The first step was clear. Rahul placed his hand on the sphere again. Light shot through the chamber and traveled outward, invisible to the eyes of the world. Across Earth, dormant structures responded. Hidden devices stirred beneath deserts, mountains, and oceans. Energy hummed beneath the ground, rising slowly like a tide ready to defend the planet. Rahul felt the connection grow. He could sense the hidden power of humanity, the will of every person who had built, created, and struggled. It was not the machines alone that made humans strong. It was their minds, their courage, and their hope. The Skyfarers had known this, and now Rahul understood. Outside, the shadows in the sky moved closer. Observatories tracked their path, and the military prepared weapons that might never reach the intruders. But within Rahul, a calm certainty grew. Humanity was ready in ways that the world did not yet understand. He spoke to his team. "We must awaken the others. We have no time to waste. This is our choice, not just mine. Humanity will rise if we lead them, if we show them what we are capable of." Rosa took a deep breath. "Then we follow you. Together." Matteo nodded slowly. "I will trust you, Rahul. I do not fully understand it, but I believe this is our path." Lena smiled, determination in her eyes. "We will need knowledge, courage, and speed. The carvings show the way. We can do this." Rahul placed his hand once more on the sphere. The chamber erupted in light, and for a moment, the air was alive with energy. He felt the Skyfarers' presence, not as rulers, but as guides. Their hope, their trust, and their wisdom flowed into him. He was no longer just a man beneath the pyramid. He was a link between humanity and the guardians who had been waiting for centuries. The shadows drew closer in the sky, dark points moving silently against the stars. Rahul knew the moment of decision had arrived. Humanity could rise or fall, but the choice was theirs. And for the first time, he believed without doubt that they would rise. He turned to his team, his eyes bright with resolve. The time has come. We awaken what was left for us. We fight not as weak children of earth, but as heirs to everything the Skyfarers believed we could become. The hum of the machine filled the chamber like a song of courage. Outside, the stars shone, and the shadows continued to approach. The first step had been taken. Humanity's choice had begun. The night sky was full of stars, but among them, dark shapes moved with quiet menace. The shadows from the stars had arrived. Cities across the world were tense. People watched, hoping that something, anything, could stop what was coming. Beneath the Mayan pyramid, Rahul and his team stood before the glowing machine. Its sphere pulsed with energy, spreading light across the chamber and into the tunnels below. The network of hidden guardians beneath mountains, deserts, and oceans responded. One by one, ancient devices awoke, humming with power and sending beams of energy into the sky. Rahul felt the connection fully now. His mind was linked to the hidden guardians and to the will of humanity itself. Every heartbeat, every act of courage from every person across Earth resonated inside him. He understood what the Skyfarers had meant. Strength did not come from weapons or technology alone. Strength came from belief, hope, and unity. Outside, the first shadow ship appeared above the ocean. It was vast, its dark hull swallowing light, moving with a speed no human craft could match. Military jets tried to intercept, but they were too slow. Then, without warning, beams of energy shot from beneath the ocean. The ship shuddered, glowing as the ancient guardians struck. Rahul directed the energy with his mind, guiding it to strike where the enemy was weakest. The shadow ship faltered, then fell into the sea with a thunderous crash. Cities along the coast felt the tremor, and people watched in awe as light streaked across the water and sky. More shadow ships appeared, dark and silent, cutting through the atmosphere. Observatories tracked their movement, but human weapons seemed useless. Then the hidden guardians responded. Beams of light rose from deserts, mountains, and forests guided by Rahul. The energy formed a net around the invading fleet. Lena shouted, her voice strong and clear. "We are doing it. We are holding them back." Matteo and Rosa worked alongside her, managing the connections and reading the glowing symbols that streamed across the chamber walls. Together, they directed the energy with precision, creating barriers and attacks that no human technology could achieve on its own. The shadows in the sky fought back, sending waves of darkness toward the surface. They moved like storms, but the guardians held their ground. Each wave of energy, each beam of light, seemed to carry the will of humanity itself. Rahul felt a surge of power and understanding. He saw the patterns of battle not as chaos, but as rhythm. The guardians responded to human intent, to courage, and to hope. The Skyfarers had known that humans could wield these gifts if they were ready to believe in themselves. The battle raged for hours, but slowly, the shadows began to falter. Ships that had seemed unstoppable crashed or fled. Beams of light guided by human hands cut through the darkness, and the sky that had seemed impossible to defend became a field of triumph. Finally, the last shadow ship hovered above the horizon. Rahul focused all the energy through the pyramid, through the machine, and through the network of guardians. A single beam of brilliant light shot into the sky, striking the ship. It trembled, spun, and then shattered, scattering into fragments that burned like shooting stars. Silence fell. The night was quiet, except for the soft hum of the guardians returning to rest. The shadows had retreated, and the first wave of the enemy had been defeated. Rahul and his team stood together, breathing heavily. Lena smiled through tears. We did it. Humanity, we did it. Matteo shook his head in disbelief. I never thought I would see this. We actually won. Rosa looked at the glowing machine, now dimming but still alive. It was not just the machine. It was us. We made it happen together. Raoul nodded. His eyes lifted toward the stars, now calm and clear. The Skyfarers left this for us. They trusted that when the time came, we would rise. Tonight, we proved that trust was not in vain. Across Earth, people celebrated quietly, sensing victory even if they did not fully understand what had happened. News of strange beams of light and destroyed ships spread quickly, leaving the world in wonder. Humanity had faced an enemy from the stars and survived. The pyramid, once a monument of the past, now stood as a symbol of hope. It was proof that humans were not merely survivors, but guardians capable of defending themselves and their world. Raoul knew the battles ahead might be harder, but the first victory had changed everything. The machine pulsed softly one last time, and Raoul felt the Skyfarers' presence as a warm glow in his mind. They did not speak with words now. Instead, he understood their message: humanity was ready. As dawn broke over the jungle, light touched the pyramid stones. Raoul, Lena, Matteo, and Rosa stood on its steps, looking at the horizon. The sky was calm. The stars seemed to watch quietly, no longer threatening, only waiting. Raoul placed a hand on the stone once more. This is only the beginning, he said quietly. The future is ours to shape. We will rise because we can, because we must, and because we are ready. The team stood together in silence, knowing the world would never be the same. Humanity had taken its first step among the stars and had won its first victory. The pyramids no longer hid secrets of the past. They were beacons for the future, a reminder that humans were stronger than any darkness. And somewhere in the quiet of space, the Skyfarers' watch continued, their trust in humanity unbroken.